Today's sourdough Sunday. Today I'm making a sourdough bread bowl with buffalo chicken dip inside. First, in a large bowl, I'm going to add 125 grams of active starter. Next, add 2 teaspoons of salt. Then add 280 grams of warm filtered water. Next, mix that up. Then add 475 grams of unbleached bread flour. Next, mix that up until the dough forms. Then cover up the dough and let this rest for 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes, I'm going to do my first round of 3 rounds of stretch and folds, which just means I'm going to lift up the dough and place it on itself and do it all the way around the bowl, and then I'm going to cover the dough back up and let it rest for 30 minutes in between each round. Now I'm going to do my last round of stretch and folds and cover the dough back up and let this rise for 6 to 8 hours or until it doubles in size. Now the dough has doubled in size, I have it on a floured counter. I'm going to cut the dough in half because I'm going to make 2 smaller bread bowls. You could also make 1 big bread bowl. I'm just going to make 1 today, and the other one I'm going to put in the freezer. Now I'm going to take each piece of dough and flatten it out and then fold in each side and roll it into a ball. And one of the doughs I'm going to add in a lime banneton and cover that up and put that in the fridge. And the other one I'm going to put it in a freezer bag and place it in the freezer to use later. Now the next day I took the dough out of the freezer and I have it on a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to score the top of the dough and then I'm going to add it into a Dutch oven that I've been preheating at 450 degrees, and I'm going to bake this with the lid on at 450 for 25 minutes. After that, I'm going to take the lid off the Dutch oven and place this back in the oven at 400 degrees for another 15 minutes. Next, I'm going to make the filling for the bread bowl, so in a bowl I'm going to add 1/4 cup of buffalo sauce. Next, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of whipped cream cheese. Next, add 1/2 cup of sour cream. Then add 1 packet of ranch seasoning. Next, mix that up until it's combined. Then add 1½ cups of cooked chopped chicken. Next, add 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar cheese and 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Then mix that up until it's combined and then put this to the side. Now I have the cooled bread bowl on a plate and I'm going to slice the top of the bread bowl to hollow it out. Next, I'm going to add the buffalo chicken dip into the center of the bread bowl. Then I'm going to sprinkle some more shredded cheddar and shredded mozzarella cheese on top. Now I have the buffalo chicken dip bread bowl on a cookie sheet. I'm going to bake this at 350 for 20 minutes. Once the buffalo chicken dip bread bowl was done, I added it onto a platter and I added some tortilla chips for dipping, and the top of the bread bowl that I hollowed out earlier, I sliced it up to use as dippers as well.